Welcome back to this episode of the Vinyl Village Garage, where we just play cars in this little tiny space. It was 10 degrees outside and dang near freezing to death in here. But what we're working on last go around was the vintage air setup. Now what I've done here, obviously this is some of our copper piping. I opted to paint it black. I'm now debating maybe should have painted it green, put on a red hat, and wearing some denim coveralls, and had a lot more fun with this. But that joke was not very good. I'm sorry, I won't do any more of that stuff. But what we'll do though is get back to showing you how I created this and why, and some little tips in case you want to try to follow suit with getting where the heater core hoses pop back through the firewall. So that's what we're going to get in here today. And hopefully you'll see where I came up with this and makes sense if you want to follow suit. Let's start with an overview. 1, 2, 3 pipes. Those are the pieces that I made up using all these little brass fittings. Look at this, hardly anything left, so I did good. I have a couple pieces here that I want to show you the how and the why, but I didn't really get the camera going for this because it was just trial fit, test fit, make it work, etc. And I did it some CAD right here. This is cardboard aided drafting. Now you can see it's the kind of the basic shape here is that bottom pipe. That's how I can, what kind of fittings I need and everything else. There's a heater control valve that's labeled as HC. I'll show you where I mounted that to the box. And that one here has that, comes down here and loops back up. That's that pipe right there. It kind of loops down here and comes back up. So those look like kind of a mess, but you get the idea. I've just now put the pipes together, sweated them, sealed them up with some solder, so they should work just fine. I'd like to pressure test them, but don't know if I really have a good way to do that. Besides, I'm just going to install it all here on the heater box, hook the heater core hoses up, and run it, and hope that it doesn't leak, because right now is the time to fix stuff like that as opposed to having the whole interior and everything back in this car. So that's the other reason why I wanted to do this. Now, this pipe is a 1/2-inch pipe that I use on normal fittings. Now I'm using the 5/8 heater hose. Now the factory did 5/8 and 3/4. Vintage Air uses 5/8 hose for everything. So I'm going to eliminate the 3/4 inch hose by basically, I have a 5/8 inch hose on here right now. It will stretch over that barb on the timing cover. You got to work at it, but it will go. That's what I've done. And then what we're going to do then, we're going to loop this hose up here and feed into the heater core, and the other one right back there to the firewall. So using 5/8 hose, that's one of the parts of the puzzle. And this is, like I said, it's 1/2-inch ID copper tubing. Well, that's great, except for then when you put the hose on here, you really need some kind of a barb to keep the hose from coming off. Now, if you look here, get the camera to focus, you'll see I have done just that. This is a piece of 1/2-inch copper pipe, but I did a little, I guess you say, thinking and creative solutioning, then came up with a way to do that. I was looking for a big ball, like a ball bearing. I didn't have anything here in the garage, but what I do have, a bunch of sockets. Use your imagination, but let me see what size socket that was. I was just using a socket that was tapered. There's my Craftsman stuff here. It says 5/16. Look here, it's kind of curved and tapered. Then I put the extension on it because I put it in the vise, and then it hits the bottom of the vise, snug up the vise, and then I put the tube over it, smack it with the hammer, and guess what? It kind of flares out the side of the tube. That gives it kind of a barb to help prevent the hose from slipping off. Yeah, so here, basically a piece of pipe. In case you want to see, work like this, smack the opposite end with the hammer, it kind of flares out the ends of it there, and you have a nice little barb to keep the hose in its position where it's supposed to be. So that was how I made all my barbed ends to help keep hose secure, because if you don't have that barb on, the hose likes to, honestly, with the pressure and stuff moving, it'll actually slide right off the end over time and have a massive coolant leak, so epic fail. And then after that, what I would do, when I was doing all the mocking up and test fitting, I would kind of eyeball where we're at, use the calibrated eye so you have a 90-degree fitting. Then I go ahead and put it together, and I figure out my clocking where I want it at. So let's just say I had to have like a goofy bend like right here where it's going 2 different directions. Well, once I get it figured out where I need it at, take a couple pieces of small bit of masking tape to kind of help hold it in place. Then once I really get it dialed in, use our black marker and make a mark on it. This might make more sense. Now, let's say this is how we wanted to clock them, but not exactly, 90 degrees laying on a flat plane. So what we do, well, get my hand to stay steady, draw a straight line between the two of them, and then even draw a line this way in case the depth is different. That way, when you go and clean the pipe, put your flux on there, and then when you go put it back together, well, you know the depth the pipe was at and the clock in. You put it over here, of course your lines aren't lined up, but then you know it goes like this when you solder it all together. And like I said, now while doing our test fitting, these pipes, they have pretty good friction fit, but they're not always 100%, so you can kind of cheat, put a piece of tape on it, and then if you get exactly where you need it, then draw your line. Like I said, we've already done the line, but you get the idea. That's how I get this all clocked together. Then I sweat all the sections together. Now, like I said, we've got my CAD drawing right here. Is kind of how I roughed it out in my head. It's 3 pieces with a heater control valve. This is the one section. It consists of a street elbow and a standard elbow and a street 45. And then it's a straight section with my homemade flare by beating it against the socket. That's the small section. And here's a medium-sized section here. Same thing, flared each end. 90, 90, 90, a little bit of a goof. These are the parts that are going to be sticking through the firewall. When it's all said and done and together, what you'll see sticking through the firewall will be these 2 barbs, kind of like so. Very similar to how the factory was. And the big long piece here, well, it's hard to get all on camera, but it's a big piece there. But you'll see once it's in there, kind of how this goes, hopefully. Now, when I go to put this in, none of the plumbing is in here yet. When I was doing my mock-up, I had this, actually, got to spin around here, bolted on here. Oh, the holes are like so. Then what I could do, when I was doing my mock-up, I put the heater box cover on it, and then you can kind of see how this is all going to work. That mounts about like that. And then that tube, there we go, there's my heater core hose. And this is going to go from here to the heater control valve. It's going to turn the hot water flow on and off, but you can see that was how I was able to mock that up. Now I got the rubber hose going between here and here. Then the other tube goes around the bottom, but for the purpose of I need to get these installed, I'm hoping, of course this won't be on there. This plate is going to be bolted to it. I'm going to try to put it in as an assembly. I'm hoping that's going to work. I don't know. But for the time being, what I need to do now though is go ahead and figure out the length of hose I'm going to put in here, and then go ahead and get a piece of hose cut and get it clamped and get these other tubes ran, because then the next tube is going to go like this off that heater control valve. You'll see here it loops around, going to come into contact like that. But same thing, rubber hose junction, hugs the top of the box. That's how we're going to hook these together. And then the other piece, I'm going to loop that. It's going to be here, which you can't see it. Oops, sorry. Okay, like so. There we go. And that's going to mount about like this when it's all said and done. This is going to poke through our cover here. So then this one here is like this. That's kind of the quick mock-up. Like I said, then rubber hose, and this is going to be sticking through the firewall. So you can kind of visualize how tucked up and tight, and why I painted it all black is you don't want it looking like bright brassy copper underneath that dash. So it helps kind of help blend that all into the car. Now I did modify, they come with about a 45-degree bend. I bent this one back and did the same technique, kind of flared the end out, so I can put the little hose on it here like that. So I'm hoping this will work, and like I said, hopefully then I can tuck that into the dash, as this all is one big assembly. So I'm working on putting the rubber hoses on here next. Here's a quick overview of what we look like. Clamped into place. This is our heater control valve that once you put that installed somewhere, normally goes under the hood by their directions, but leaving it inside the dash, loop my pipe around here, comes down, clamped in here, hose clamped. These are the parts going to protrude through the firewall. I'll hook my heater core hose up at factory location. Unfortunately, I'm short 2 clamps. Vintage Air didn't know I was going to hack their system all up and do something different with it, so I need to go get 2 clamps from the getting place. But I'm going to run right quick. Fortunately, just up the road to go get a couple clamps. But I need to clamp that. But just so you can kind of get an idea what we're going for is when I put my heater box back in place, those 2 holes line up like so. And that's how we're going to hook up our heater hoses on the firewall. Now, I'm hoping this panel's got to come off, but I'm hoping to be able to leave this all as an assembly minus that part and shove it back in the dash. But make a road trip. I'll be right back. Got back from the getting place. These things have gotten expensive. They know what they got, I guess you can kind of say, whenever you're going to go pay for these now. But nonetheless, I have a couple clamps to put into place. Now, as I've been contemplating and pondering it, I don't know if I want to take this back out. This may be the last time that you'll see this thing on the floor, unless, of course, it has some type of malfunction. But I'm going to go ahead and plan or put into the action that this is not going to come back out. So I'm going to do a couple of things here to ensure that I don't have to take it back out. So as I said, I've been thinking about it. I'm going to install the kick panel in the car loosely because I don't think it's going to clear this big, massive blower motor that's now installed on these things. So I'm going to go ahead and get that kick panel laid into place, unbolt that heater box cover from the panel, and then we'll fish it down into place, and we'll see how this goes. I guess we're going to call this one last look in case you want to borrow this design so you can kind of see how it's routed. Again, the part goes through the firewall, straight little piece of 45, 90, another straight section of 90, 90, 90, and goes into our what's supplied fitting here. Make sure these are tight too. They come loose, so all it is inside here is an O-ring. So make sure if this is your final installation, get these tight because you'll never get in here once this plate is in place and back in the dash. Never gonna happen. So I don't think I mentioned that yet. So make sure those are secure and tight. The other tube comes, loops around, does the 180 turnaround, comes back up, feeds across. This is the top of the box when it's in the car. Then loops back here to our heater control valve. Heater control valve wiring, I got kind of laid into place here. That way it's accessible from the front side when I put this thing in here. So next thing for me now is separate this off of the panel and reattach this back onto here and hope that it fits in there. Like I said, we're gonna go ahead and just kind of tuck the kick panel into place. Oh, another thing, you need to drill a hole for the evaporator case drain. I did mine right up there. You see the hole? Now the idea of dropping it here, I'm gonna put the tube down here towards the ground, keep it off the exhaust. Sometimes you're running the headers, that will land right on the header tubes. And I just don't like the idea of dumping water on the entire time, but that's where you get away with on this car. Here, I'm gonna put it right there. I'll go ahead and get that taken off and put back onto there. Okay, now slip these into place. Actually, I can do this. Take that one off for now. This is the original panel. Now you see, I cut the openings a little bigger in that one. I originally just used the step drill bit and punched holes through it, but I decided that it was easier just to go ahead and do that and cut it open. Okay. These are the 4 fasteners. Yeah, I hope don't have to get this back out. Yeah. Oh, that's tricky. It's right behind my tube now. I think I can still get it. Didn't think that one through. It'll go. It'll go. There we go. And ta-da! Now my plate's back on now. This goes on. Now the other thing I'm going to do, though, I was trying to think about, maybe I need to trace this out. This is some kind of a foam, like weather stripping. I'm going to put a ring around the whole thing. That way this panel is sealed to my firewall. So we get the, maybe stenciled out, wipe that off, and get that put on. And we're just going to go for it. I do a pretty good job of just winging it most of the time, so let's do it. This is some kind of foam seal that I picked up for another project. Kind of like you see like weather stripping for a camper shell thing in the back of your pickup truck. It's flexible and it should do the job. Do the trick. Oh boy, okay. I can foresee that compress. It'll compress. Okay. Well, that my stud may not have been long enough. Okay. Now you have some left over. Alrighty. Okay. Now I'm gonna put my kick panel in. See about wrestling this into place. What I've done here, kick panel, it's just laid into place. Now the idea is I still need to paint this car flambeau burgundy, so I'm not actually putting it all the way into position because normally it snaps over top of that landing there, that ledge that gets pinch weld. But I need it in here because I don't think I have enough space once that big massive heater box, and I don't think this part's going to clear. I don't know, but better safe than sorry. So these are all a little bit dusty, but all prepped and ready to go. These are actually surprisingly the original ones on this car. They're actually in pretty good shape besides got some dust on them. The typical, in the secret, sandblasted the entire thing, then put a coat of that Duplicolor vinyl dye on it. Man, it looks real nice. And lubed up, we got cable in here, and it works like a champ. I should still have enough room, to get in here to the switch to get this replaced, put the wiring in it. And I've got to drill a hole here still because we got some special additions we're doing to the mirrors on this car. I tell you, it's got a bunch of neat little mods that, I don't know, maybe a little different than some of you used to seeing, but nonetheless, enough of that rambling. I'm going to see about stabbing this thing in here. I have no clue if this is going to fit. This is my first attempt of doing a Gen 5 with this setup here all bolted into place. This thing's already bulkier and bigger than it was. Then we added this plate, and now I've added that tubing. Yeah, we'll see if this is going to go. Hopefully it will. We're about to find out. Nope. Yeah. Oh, just for FYIs. That heater control valve, the defrost duct, or floor duct, unclips, and I screwed it, drilled the holes to this defrost duct and put the screws into the heater valve. That's why it's secure. I can almost hold it by it alone, but I don't think I covered that detail. Like I said, I just been kind of flying by the seat of my pants on this so far, and hopefully it's going to work. Survey says, oh, I remember now, I had to take that loose. Just didn't clear, so let's go ahead and do that. That's the brains of the operation. Okay. Close. So close, no matter how far, but metallic here. Got something sticking in that front corner. Figure it out where it is. So, very, very close. We'll poke my head up here. Now, it's not my plumbing hitting. It's the plate on the firewall. I just need like a 1/4 inch. That steel plate down the bottom corners, gouging the bottom of the firewall. Okay, close. You want to go? Yeah. One bolt on the firewall side lined up. I want to take the defrost duct back off here. Okay. Hey, that's it. Take the defrost duct off, and she goes. Now, oh, I'm module. Now, I think it's going to work. Did it fit? It actually went. Pain in the butt, but it goes. And I got to get it lined up and somehow reach the firewall side and put some of the nuts on the studs, but she's going to work. Now, one of the advantages of having the windshield out if you're flying solo is you can reach through the windshield and, let's see if we can do this here. Windshield opening and give that heater box. Okay, there we go. Little bump. You can install that by yourself. There would be not a hole for what we need to do, but I think that's going to work out pretty good. Let's take a peek around here on the inside. Here's what I was talking about. There's no way that kick panel is going to go in after the fact on that. That thing is just, that's huge. That thing is a lot bigger than the previous ones. I don't remember sticking down the firewall quite that far. Still plenty of room for your feet, but that thing is definitely a lot larger. I had to pop the, this is what's going to be in the defrost vent off the front of the heater box. That's fine. It's held on by metal spring clips. So it's not like a do or die thing here. I didn't break anything, but it gave me just enough clearance to flip that thing up into place. So I guess what I'm saying is with our, you can't even see my tubing. You look very carefully way back there. You can see it. But it's all hidden inside the dash. And you come right here to the firewall side. You'll have to visualize the heater box being put back on there. But I have my two hose barbs now to put my heater hoses on. So it will work. That was the question that I wanted to answer today. And I'm going to work it out just fine. Now, I also have to hook up the air conditioning lines here. My plan is to take it up through this panel that goes in here and shoot them up over the cowling, then go out to the fender to the engine side. The instructions have you basically murder this opening here on the kick panel, then route them through that way. So I'm not going to say it's 100% free and clear. As long as I get those hoses to loop and work through that opening, I should be in the home stretch of saying we'll make it work with this setup. So I'll go ahead and snap this back on for now so we keep it tidy. And then our drain, you can see the hole in the floor. Here's the drain out of the AC box, straight shot down, dumps our water on the ground, comes with the tube, feed that through there. Should be in pretty good sorts. Did a little more tinkering on it here. Look at the firewall now. You get a visualization what's going to look like. These are the AC lines. I did a little test fitting on those. Hooked up the key heater core hose. They are routed similar to factory. This is going to be mounted to this little clip that goes on the inner fender well. I'll support that heater hose there. It goes into my heater core. That one flips around in the back of the cylinder head there, just as it typically would have been, and it works. Now this here's what we're going to do with the AC lines. This is how Vintage Air has you do it. Run them through the firewall, then run them to their associated root core, the position they're supposed to go to. I went ahead and dry fit them there on our evaporator box on the inside, the way that I was hoping to go. Now Vintage Air, like I said a couple times, has you knock out that kick panel. Well, there's that little vent up here. They even give you block-off plates with their kit. to block off those vents because you no longer have the fresh air vent coming into here. This now becomes an AC duct. So I have ran the hoses up through that opening there. There's actually enough slack. It's not kinked. It's got a nice radius to it. I don't want to pull it too tight, but my thoughts are now is I'll just use my step bit, pop 2 holes in this panel here, then run my hose up through the firewall. Maybe there's a better view on this side here. You can see now it's got plenty of space. I can position that kind of where I want it at. And then I'll run those hoses right through my firewall there instead, and I still have them, my kick panel fully functional. And then of course it comes through the firewall, and I can use the plates, that little thing down there where the hose goes through the firewall for some support. But this here I will not be using because this is what takes place to the kick panel. It's not the most sightly thing. I like the looks of the kick panel better. So I guess the answer to the questions I had in my head, can I make a Gen 5 setup work and make it look like the factory heater core hoses? Yep, sure can. All clears, heater control valves inside the dash. I can also salvage the kick panel with the Gen 5 style. I don't have to cut up my kick panel. My AC lines come up through here, go up towards the front where they need to be. So I think here in the meantime, we'll work on drilling that little 3-bolt plate out there, get the hoses ran through, keeping the caps on the end to keep any kind of dirt out of it and reduce the amount of moisture taped up the end of the hose now. And the unfortunate thing is I have to take this hose back off to crimp the end. I don't have a AC line crimper. I never bought one of those yet, but maybe someday. I'm a real good boy for Christmas. But nonetheless, Gen 5 hiding against the heater core hoses was a success. There you have it. The rest of the vintage air installation is the same as I did on the other cars, the Great Pumpkin, etc. Crimping the ends on, charging the system, calibrating the AC system. It's like a couple wire hookup. The instructions at this point I will follow pretty much to the end. There's some support brackets that go on the front, or I guess passenger side of that Gen 5 heater box, so it attaches it better to the firewall. Then once I get me a new from L&L Pontiac heater box cover here, I will paint it and install it for the very last time. So those things I probably won't do on video, but I wanted to show you that most importantly, that works. In case you want to try to do that yourself, it can be done, and to get creative, you can make it all happen just the same. So nonetheless, I'm going to wrap it up for today. I'm getting a bunch of snow outside. I go pick up my daughter from school because she's got some play practice going on today. But I'm going to hit the road, take care of that. When I come back out here, hopefully it's not too cold. Continue to roll some video out your direction. I appreciate you following me on the journey of these old cars. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you've already subscribed, don't hit it again because you actually unsubscribe. I think that happened a few times here. So you might want to check that. If you says unsubscribe, help me out. Fix that. Make it where it says subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. We'll catch you all next time.